Hi, I'm Erica, one of the senior curriculum managers here at Magoosh and a GMAT expert. If you've watched my video on how I got a 770 on the GMAT, you know that one of my top tips is to never make the same mistake twice, which is great advice, but how do you do that? In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly which steps you can take to make each of your GMAT mistakes a one and done. Now, these are great practices to implement if you're also aiming for a 770, but I've seen them work wonders for students at all levels. So no matter your score goal, stick around if you're looking to maximize the value of your GMAT study. Now, right off the bat, you're going to want to commit at least half of your study time to reviewing your mistakes. And this may seem like a lot, but this deserves time and attention. So you're not going to get to as many problems in your study, and that's okay because you're going to get more out of each one. Remember, drilling without learning from your mistakes can often be actively harmful as you build bad habits by making the same mistake over and over again. So this step is worth the investment and will save you time in the long run. Now that you've set aside the time for reviewing your mistakes, make the most of it with an error log. Now, when most people think of an error log, they think of it as a place to answer where was the question that I missed? Where did I make this mistake? But actually, I would prioritize 3 other questions. What, why, and how. Let's talk through each of those. So what asks what mistake you made in the problem. Did you make a miscalculation? Did you misread the question? Did you pick an answer choice without reading the others first, etc., etc.? Now, the next one, why, is about why you made that mistake. Did you make the mistake because you ran out of time? Did you make the mistake because you weren't actively reading? Did you make the mistake because you were trying to do too much math in your head when really you should have been jotting something down on your paper? And so on and so forth. And then finally, how is a 2-parter. So how do you recognize the potential to make that same mistake in a different problem? And then how do you avoid it next time? Now again, when most students are keeping an error log, they're primarily focused on the where and then maybe a surface level what if we're lucky. But it's those later questions, why and how, that really help you interrogate the mistake that you made, learn something from it, and then translate that learning to other problems. Now, how in particular is going to be the really valuable one. I really recommend formatting it as a prompt response. So what's the clue in a problem that I might make the same mistake again? And then what is the action that I take in response to that clue? Now, if you maintain that error log throughout your study, through your practice sessions, through your practice tests, that's great, but you're only getting half of the value out of it, because the rest of the value comes from reviewing that error log. Now, the best time to review your error log is at the beginning of each of your study sessions. So sit down, read through the strategies in your how column, and then make a commitment that you're not gonna make any of the mistakes you just read through in that study session. Now, this part is not as big of a time commitment, maybe 5 minutes at the beginning of a study session, but it holds huge value because what it does is brings those mistakes, those strategies to the forefront of our minds so that in our practice, we're recognizing them. We're more likely to act on them, and we're less likely to make those mistakes that we made before. Now, this reasoning is why the how column of your error log is going to make the most incredible personalized study guide before each of your practice tests and your test day itself. Now, by the way, if you're wading through all of the practice tests out there and aren't really sure which ones to take, check out my video on the best GMAT practice tests. All right, so you set aside the time, you've made your error log, you're reviewing your error log, you're doing everything in your power to not make the same mistake twice, but what happens when you do? When you do end up making the same mistake twice, which will happen because it happens to the best of us, the universe has given you a really great clue that you need to prioritize fixing this particular mistake. So at this point, you're gonna wanna double down on error logging to address this particular mistake. So first thing you're gonna wanna do is highlight or in some way mark that particular entry so that it stands out in your error log the next time you're reviewing it. Then you're gonna wanna go back and revisit that entry. Is it just that you didn't actually follow your own how strategy, in which case you might want to adjust how you're approaching your review sessions? Or is it that that strategy didn't actually work? So dig deep here. Is your why actually accurate? Is that really the reason you made that mistake? And then, okay, if it is, let's look at your how. Is that actually going to work? Did your clue apply to this problem? Do you need to change that? And then, okay, maybe it does. Is the response correct, or did that response fail you? In that case, you're going to want to adjust there. Now, you may need to work through several similar problems to really dial that strategy in to make sure, again, that it's accurate to you and that it's going to work for those problems. Then when you think you've got that strategy, work through even more similar problems to build the habit so that you're never going to make that mistake another time. And that's how you can never make the same GMAT mistake more than once. By following these steps, you can avoid building bad habits and get the most mileage out of your precious GMAT study time. Now, like I mentioned, these practices are going to be effective no matter what level you're performing at or what level you're aiming for. But if you find that your score is hanging around average or even below average, I really recommend checking out my video on 5 tips to avoid an average GMAT score for more tips on how to improve the quality of your study. Let us know if this video helped you by liking, and subscribe for more videos from me and the other experts at Magoosh. Now, this video was a suggestion from one of our YouTube viewers, so if you have a topic you'd like to request, let us know in the comments because we're always looking out. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.